Hey guys, time for another video. This time we're going to be talking about something that I really just sort of started noticing when I was leveling my rogue recently, and you may have noticed that I was indeed leveling my rogue during that video I made about the Warcraft movie. And, well, what I've loved so far is this great feeling of momentum, and I've decided that it's a very important part of game design, obviously, and something that should be talked about. And this is specifically for leveling, but it could really be applied to just any part of moment-to-moment combat. So with the rogue, they've got this very, just ingenious, not really genius, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but it's awesome. It's a talent called Cloak and Dagger. And its text is your ambush, garrote, cheap shot, yeah, just those three, can now be used from 40 yards away and will cause you to appear behind your target. That is absolutely fantastic. Now, if you're not aware of rogues and how they work, well, ambush, garrote, and cheap shot are opening abilities. You use them when you're stealthed and behind your target. Now, previously with the rogue, before you unlock this talent at level 60, you would just have to stealth up and go behind your target. Now, the biggest problem with that is when you stealthed, you moved slower. At least back then, when I was playing the rogue, you did. And overall, it was just such a pain. It was really annoying, moving from target to target, and actually maintaining momentum while you're leveling. Well, now with Cloak and Dagger, you go into stealth, you point at a target up to 40 yards away, and boom, you're right behind it, you're in combat, and you're getting work done. And here's the great thing, by the time your first target's dead, you'll be able to stealth again, and repeat the process. You jump from target to target to target extremely fast, in a way that makes sense with your class's mechanics, that doesn't break any of the game's sort of flow or anything like that, and it just accelerates everything. But the point is that it's not really accelerating by making things sort of just cheap and annoying. It got rid of some of the annoying parts of playing a rogue and replaced it with something fun. And more importantly, because it was so effective, it made the player feel extremely powerful. And that power wasn't really coming from anything other than their own mechanics, which is why it feels so damn good. So, yeah, I noticed this, and I thought I should talk about it, and perhaps how they could implement it a little bit more into the game. Well, not really implement it more, but they've got one or two opportunities to include it. So first of all, with all the other various classes, maybe just little changes like this Cloak and Dagger thing. Not when I say like, I mean similar in terms of their gameplay implication, but not similar in terms of their actual execution. So anything that really gets you back up off your feet after killing one mob, you know, is really good. So, like maybe for a hunter, if kill shot kills the target, then you get an additional, say, 50% damage to your next shot. Stuff that's all about keeping the ball rolling. You know, the more powerful you are, the more powerful you get, and when you are leveling, that's, well, a very empowering feeling, and that's nice. Another great thing about this rogue ability is that it also, when you are trying to play the game fast, you can, you know, you can really just move from mob to mob very quickly, but in a way that's very active. It involves you still hitting a lot of buttons. That's very rewarding, and it doesn't feel like the game is holding you back in any regard. So once again, if similar feeling things for other classes would be fantastic, and no doubt other classes do have these. I actually find a similar feeling on my Death Knight, in that I can use, it's not Deathcore, I think it's Death Siphon or something, right? You see at level 75? If this thing crits, boom, it one-shots your opponent. Okay, that's absurd, but sometimes it can two-shot, and when you can just use that to take off a little target, okay, maybe it's a little bit OP for leveling, but it feels fantastic. And right after you do that, you've ran out of runes. Well, that's fine, you can death grip something over, use your frost, runic, whatever power to kill that, and then keep on going. It's just this idea of classes always having some sort of new thing popping up, or just powerful ability that really enhances their gameplay. And it's just, you know, it's really important to keeping the leveling fast. The reason why I stopped my rogue at level 63 is because, first of all, I needed to stealth to get behind targets to really just play effectively. But then going to stealth at that point in time involved, I think it was moving at 65% of normal speed. By the way, they've also changed stealth, so it's now, it actually increases my speed by 20% because of one of my talents, so there's no penalty, or not much of a penalty anyway, to using stealth. Anyway, so moving back on track, our rogues had these problems which were just impeding the momentum of playing the class. They are now fixed, and I am having more fun leveling a character than I've had, like, in any time, honestly. It's damn fantastic. So, of course, we are all about trying to improve the game and thinking of opportunities when positive mechanics and positive feelings can be used later on down the line, and obviously, because it's not here yet, or ever, Warlords of Draenor is a great chance to fix up some of these things. So, one of the things they're doing with Warlords is, with garrisons, they're making outposts, and you get an outpost in every zone, and I think by the looks of things, once you do 1 or 2 quests for that outpost, you can get a zone-specific buff, and in fact, some of your buildings can also give you buffs. Now that's really nice, and one of the great things that they could do with this is they could reintroduce this feeling of momentum. So maybe you get, I don't know, your mage tower or something gives you an ability, or maybe there's a hunting lodge building, just randomly, hypothetically, and every time you just kill a thing, you get a buff to your next attack, or maybe there's something which gives you a movement speed increase after an attack. I know a lot of these sound like you get X after you kill a mob, but just things like that, which keep you going from mob to mob in a really nice, fast manner. And I know this does just sound like, oh yeah, it's simple, you just speed up the leveling experience and then it's more fun. Well, A, yes, but B, if you speed it up in the right way, then it works. As I said with my rogue, the reason why it feels great isn't just because they sped up the leveling, it's because they sped up the leveling by making me a teleporting badass with a knife that appears behind things and just stabs them in the bloody neck/arse without them even knowing. It's great, and also, it's a nifty little mode of transport when you're darting around a base. In fact, actually, just a little bit of a tangent, but one of the reasons why people, and I know this sounds crazy, but one of the reasons why people use flying a lot during the leveling process is because, let's just say they're opening prisoner cages, okay? And you've got one cage, one part of the base, and then you've got another cage 35 yards away with a few enemies in between. Now, obviously nowadays, people just fly up, go to the other cage, boom, problem solved. Well, a more interesting way to deal with that solution would be, on your rogue, to just teleport the 40 yards, because you're a badass, and it's using your own classes and mechanics. I think, actually, that with Warlords removing flying, and you being forced to deal with these combat situations and combat arenas a little bit more, some people and some classes will be able to use their mechanics to just have a really fun time. You know, like, it does feel good when you're able to use this 40-yard teleport that rogues have. So, yeah, there's that. Now, anyway, as I said in Warlords, all these different buffs could be applied during the leveling experience just to make you feel better, and more importantly, just to keep the momentum going, keep the ball rolling, and make it so that the more you kill things, the faster you go, and the faster you go, the better you feel. Because that really just helps people get through leveling. And here's the thing, like, I've done these zones before, I've done Hellfire before, I've done the Blade's Edge Mountains before, I've done Borean Tundra before, and I'm still having a blast. So, I mean, something is working there. Something is working, and they should try to apply that. Now, a lot of people are probably just thinking at the minute, well, okay, this seems swell, I love the idea of momentum as a game design thing, and it's great when classes display that, and hey, great, we're in agreement, but they're also saying, why the hell should I give a damn, because this is World of Warcraft, it's about the endgame. And yeah, you're absolutely right, it is about the endgame. And that's, I think, somewhere where they should just sort of continue with momentum. I think in boss fights, it's really fun when you get little things which buff you up, so pools that you stand in which just make you more powerful. For an example, Jinrock the Destroyer, love that mechanic with him. Another fight that felt really good to me was Primordius, and the reason why I enjoyed Primordius was the constant building of momentum during the fight. As you killed more oozes, you got more powerful, and then your whole team had killed, or all your DPSs had killed their oozes, which then meant that boom, you used heroism. And the amount of momentum that built up during that fight, you just got to push out the numbers, and it felt great. And it didn't, you know, it wasn't just, oh yeah, I feel good because I'm pushing out a lot of numbers. No, it was because I've actually used the mechanics of the encounter to build up momentum for my character so that I'm now doing more damage. That was a far more fun thing than just, say, oh, who's that abomination in Naxxramas that everyone talks about that I've now forgotten the name of? Patchwork, that's it. It's not a patchwork fight. It's still got the big numbers of a patchwork fight, but it gets them because you're playing really well. Another example, how about just the more that you personally kill... Actually, here's a great one, right? You get teleported into your own little instance, and there's a variety of enemies or something of some sort there. The more of them that you kill in a 10-second period or whatever, then you get stacks of a buff, depending on how many you kill. That's a great little thing in a boss fight. Maybe those stacks build up from, you know, from sort of iteration to iteration or something like that. I just love the idea of just things building up momentum because, I know a lot of this seems sort of, you know, random and off the cuff, and it actually is. I just thought, hey, I should talk about momentum, turned on the microphone without even writing down notes or a plan of things to talk about. But I just noticed that that's why I was enjoying the rogue. And then I thought to some other boss fights and elements of World of Warcraft that I enjoy and realized it was kind of because of the momentum that they built. Even I remember leveling on a paladin, they had this thing, it was called the Art of War, I'm not sure exactly, but basically, you know, if you killed enough things or whatever, you had a chance of getting a free flash of light, and that free flash of light meant that you'd be nearly back up to full health again for your next mob. You were ready to go again. And maybe, actually, here's another good example. Could we have some sort of cooldown or something that will reset, or at least have a decreased duration after we kill a mob? Now, would that work in PvP? Would it work in high-end PvE? No. But maybe for the leveling experience, they could make it so that perhaps with every mob you kill, you get a 10% reduction to your cooldown time. So if I have 120 seconds left on rapid fire, I would then, after killing a mob, have maybe 100 seconds or 110 seconds, and then the more mobs I kill, the more I get to use rapid fire. The better I use rapid fire, then the shorter my rapid fire cooldown is because I killed more things. You see what I mean? Little mechanics like this, just to, as I've said so many times, get the ball rolling. I bet there's going to be a comment here that says, oh, if I could have $5 for every time he said get the ball rolling, I'd be a millionaire. Well, you know what? Rolling balls are fantastic. Let's have more of them in World of Warcraft. So yeah, Blizzard, with your garrison mechanics, that or leveling buffs you're going to be adding into the zone, or into the game, think about this. Maybe if you're doing some sort of endgame zone, like the Timeless Isle, think about this. The Timeless Isle buffs were great. They made my class feel more powerful. When I was a mage, rocking the Chi buff, with a full set of, you know, the buff food eaten, damn, I was rolling out the numbers, and it felt fantastic. So, yeah, Blizzard, it's okay to do temporary buffs and things like that, or little class mechanics, but what you have to do is just don't make it a flat 20%. Make it something that affects how we play our class. The Xuan buff, 20% more damage, is boring as hell. I don't even notice it, but I do notice Shiji, because it makes me cast more things per second. Build that perspective, or that element sort of into leveling, and give us things that just make our classes do more things in more time. And just to bookend this video, remember, this was all about the rogue's ability to transport up to 40 yards from where you currently are when you're stealthed to a new target and appear behind them and do one of your opening abilities. And that cut down on leveling time. It also provided a very interesting mechanic, and it meant that after killing one mob, you could quickly move on to the next and build up a fantastic sense of momentum. That is the primary thought that drove me into making this video, therefore, that's just, you know, the thing to take away, is the goodness from that. And all those positive vibes, and with me talking about positive vibes, I really truly am just, I don't know, getting delirious, so time to end the video. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed it and all that good stuff. Things to do are to subscribe to the channel, to like the video, to share it, and to put it on your tweetbook and those things, so yeah, I'll see you in the next video.